Happy Tuesday, everybody. Today we are on the Astral Ley line. They changed some things on StreamYard, so I cannot put up the normal intro, but you know what this is. We have with us today a very special guest, somebody who's been in this industry far longer than I have, who knows more than me. He probably knows things that, I don't know. He probably knows a lot more than you guys might want to learn about. So let's bring him on, ask him some questions, and see what he thinks. Talk about his newest comic. Let's raise the stakes with Mr. David Byrne. Hello, David.
Hello, my first time being interviewed by an actual fox.
Yes, yeah, we don't do that very often. It's very rare. So, just starting off, David, we know you're a veteran of the professional comic book industry. You have how many years have you been in the industry?
Since 2018, I put my first book out through Kickstarter, like many of us.
Oh wow! So you've been that for almost 10 years then.
We're getting close, right?
All right, I'm gonna start you off with some comics to see if I can't knock you off your footing a little bit. First, what is your favorite fight within all of comics, manga, and or anime? TV shows or movies based on this material is also acceptable. What's your favorite fight?
Favorite fight? That is tough. I don't know, because I don't read a lot of like action or fighting books.
Comic writer doesn't read comics. You heard it here, folks.
I said action. I haven't read superhero comics in forever.
A fight doesn't always have to be physical. There's non-battle battle.
No, you did this on purpose because you know it's hard if you have no prep.
That's the point. That's it. To knock out your footing. That's the point. You can't walk out on a show on balance already. That's not how you fight somebody. An interview's a fight. We got to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat and use one from Steak because
That's
I
fair.
wrote it was fun for me. At the end of the first arc of Steak, she has a big fight, and then she actually gets to end it with a pun. So I ended an entire 6-issue, 150-page arc with a pun, but it all stemmed from a fight.
That comes off as either gonna be the clever, amazing thing ever, a dad joke, or if you're on the receiving end of that beatdown, the biggest burn possible.
Mm-hmm.
See, I got you with the burn pun. I got you. I got you back.
Burn with a Y.
So one more question before we get on to the real stuff. Again, your balance isn't knocked off yet. You're still standing up. David, you are walking down the street one day and you find yourself suddenly face to face with Lex Luthor, and he wants to fight this very second. He is ready to throw hands with you right here on the street. What do you do?
Lex Luthor do I get qualifying questions or?
Sure, why not?
Does he have access to any gadgets or anything?
He's just in a suit.
And he's like physically aggressive towards me and he wants to fight.
He's saying, David Byrne, we scrapping right now.
I might pop him in the nose and run away. I'm not much of a fighter, you know. I'm more of a lover. So in reality, I would probably try to talk my way out of it.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, if you're a lover, you could just kiss him and he wouldn't know what to do at that point. He's just going to be so flabbergasted, he's not going to strike you. He's probably going to run away, actually.
I mean, that's true.
Moving on to real questions for you, David. You worked with Scout Comics for a while. They're a fairly well-known major publisher. I think the biggest publisher in Florida, I believe. Unfortunately, they beat us out for now. How did you find yourself in that position?
So probably 2019, I met James Hake, who was at the time, I think he was not the president yet, but he was the soon-to-be president of Scout, and the publisher Jim Pruitt at conventions and store signings. And we talked, and basically I offered my services to help with designing books if they needed, and I helped with the website. And I joined the team. I worked on a bunch of books as a designer, eventually briefly becoming the head of design, and then eventually the co-publisher with Charlie Stickney. So basically just got myself in, and then we had a great relationship. I made myself valuable and worked my way up.
So you did the old-fashioned way with the elbow grease and working up the ranks.
That's right.
That's cool to hear. You don't hear a lot about that anymore. Nowadays, you go into a place like, all right, how many degrees you got and what's your experience? oh, you don't have one of these two, so nah, it's not gonna work. So you did the old way of just pure effort, putting your nose to the grindstone and just going at it.
Yeah, and even the big connector was that we were all really into baseball, and I ended up joining a fantasy baseball league with those two.
It is weird how that works sometimes. I
Yeah, I mean,
recall.
my recommendation or advice to anyone who wants to be involved with an organization or specific people is genuinely find a common ground or shared interests, so that you don't come off as someone who's just trying to get in.
So even then, it kind of boils down a little bit into who you know to some level.
Yeah, you still got to be willing to talk to people. I mean,
Get to
you and I
power.
talk a lot, and you know, because you'll mention someone like, oh yeah, I know them. It's because I talk to everyone. I come across, I'll speak to anyone. So
Oh, we get backers all the time. Like, oh, we talk to this one person. Like, oh, we know. Zooming to him. Mr. Fox talks to him sometimes. Yeah, we all know each other.
Yep.
Now, the truth is, we don't all like each other, but we do communicate at some level. Even those of us who do not particularly get along, we will talk to each other
sure,
to some degree. Sometimes it might be if somebody out there is kind of scam people, we might give each other a heads up, like, yo, this guy's not legit. Don't trust this guy. It's no matter, even though we have rivalries and competitions, none of us want to see one another get scammed or screwed over. That's not healthy.
yeah. Honestly, I don't look at it like anyone's a rival or competition either. In the indie world, I want us all to succeed, and I think when one of us has success, it helps all of us.
It's not enough that I succeed; others must fail. Not David Byrne.
No, I know you are a scourge upon the earth.
No, not like that. No. We have to work together to some degree because the reality of it is none of us have the marketing budget that Marvel and DC do. We don't have billions of dollars, and we don't have 100+ years of marketing to people, so we have to be a little careful in how we do that. With your role over at Scout, walk us through a normal day in that role. What was that like?
So Scout was a smaller company when I was there, and most of us, we were lending our talents as part of a grassroots movement to try to build the company. So it was working around day jobs, but basically my role was to create the solicits, send books to print, coordinate with creators about getting their work into the design team, reviewing the design. So that was mostly what I did. It's not like a 9 to 5 when you're in that sort of publishing company. So I work best at night. So I would pretty much work from like 8 to midnight a lot of nights, just because that's when my juices flow.
Now I don't feel so bad messaging you at night.
No.
I figured you're like a normal 9 to 5 kind of guy going to bed at like 10 p.m.
I have never had a 9 to 5 job in my entire life.
That's not super uncommon because neither have I.
Mm-hmm.
There's two things. Unusual schedules, normal to guys in this industry, and almost every single person I've met in comics, doesn't matter if they were an editor, letterer, writer, artist, has been a teacher. Almost everybody. Myself, and anytime I go to a convention to be a line, they put you in a line of the comic book guys. And you just walk down. Are you a teacher? Yes. You a teacher? Yep. Everybody. Teacher. Okay, well done.
What's funny is I'm not a teacher, but I've been told I come off as one, I guess, because the way I freely give advice and tell people the way I do things to hopefully help them.
You have a more calm demeanor about you that makes it way easier for you to explain stuff. I'm terrible at that. You're very good at it. I know some of the guys in the industry who are terrible at it as well.
I have been called in to calm situations before, just because of that demeanor you mentioned.
Oh, so you're the guy they send first. I'm the guy they call when that doesn't work. Like, oh, how many fingers you want broken? Okay, no problem. No, I don't do that anymore. I'm getting too old for that stuff. Now, David,
anymore.
I can't say that publicly. I mean, I don't know who's listening. How many comics have you personally authored, and what are their titles? How many books you got out?
How many comics have I? Oh, let's see. We've got The Couch. That was my first. Then we went into Steak. I did Canceled, Spy Dear Man, Skin Deep, which was part of the Hospice Kickstarter conglomeration, I guess we'll call it. We just had Eternal earlier this year, if you want to count the Stake Presents Jessamy spinoff. And then we had, I've done multiple pieces for Travis Gibbs' Cthulhu Invades series. So I'm trying to think what else. I think I was in 4 of those anthologies, and then myriad projects over the last year and a half for Concept to Comic at Metal Ninja Studio, where I'm basically helping another creator write their project.
So you've been all over the place.
Yes,
And
I
know
do
you have
keep
done.
running tab. I'm over 1,000 pages now.
Oh my goodness. I know you've done stuff with Metal Ninja Studios. Is that your particular group, or is that a group you work with?
That is Joel Rodriguez. He is a good friend, co-creator. He's lettered every issue of Stake. He actually has the Stake logo that he designed tattooed on his body, which is more than I can say about myself.
That's pretty. You ain't got your own logos tattooed? Even I got that. I mean,
I don't have any tattoos. So,
one of my good friends, he's got the World of Warcraft logo with each W on his butt cheek. I mean, you gotta get something.
Does it? Yeah, 2 W's and then.
Yeah, you figure it out.
Yeah, I got
the kids know.
But no, for Metal Ninja Studios does a lot of design work and production work for comics and other industries, but also Concept to Comic, which is basically the ability to take an idea from a couple of sentences all the way to a finished book if you don't know how to or want to do it yourself. So that's a service we offer, and I'm basically the lead narrative analyst and head writer. So I do the creative portion of that.
So you were involved in a lot of things. Oh, you have somebody who has one of your logos tattooed to them. That alone, I would have a picture of that guy with the tattoo on my wall. That's a pretty amazing thing to have right there.
I let him be in my wedding. Does that count?
Yeah, I think that counts. I'd say that counts. I can't even imagine. The close I'm gonna get is tattoo my logo on my partner, but that's a different situation. So, David, what you have done a lot of is Stake, which is on Kickstarter right now. So, if I can get this to work, can I get this to work? I want you to tell us all about Stake. Explain to us what Stake is.
So Stake is a story about a teenage vampire hunter. Bounty hunter, pardon me. She found out saw her best friend get his heart ripped out by vampires on national TV and social media all over the world. That's how they expose themselves. And we fast forward 3 years later to her being a member of the Vampire Bounty Hunting Union, where her and her vampire partner Jessamy are tasked with bringing in and registering vampires. She does a lot of it while live on social media, which causes a lot of issues.
So we have live social media murder. I like this.
No murder.
We're for bounty hunting vampires. We don't kill them. We just capture them.
That's right. This is a humane way of doing it. They can. Well, there is maybe decapitation and things like that if need be, but that doesn't necessarily kill them.
That actually, for lack of a better pun here, raises the stakes, because taking somebody alive is way harder than taking them dead. Mm-hmm. Taking somebody out, not endorsing this, but it's not that hard to do. But taking somebody alive and in one piece from location A to location B against their will, well, that becomes a lot more challenging. Not always in the good way. Sorry about that. For our listeners, I have read some issues of Stake. As you guys can probably see, I've actually backed Stake over here because I happen to enjoy these stories. Many comics, even those written by seasoned professionals, I kind of have to force myself to finish the book. It starts off good, and then I'm just like, I got to read another page to finish this book. I paid for it. I got to read it. I have not had that problem with Stake. So, David,
yes.
What is your process like for crafting a comic from an idea to a physical piece of media?
Well, I do it, I guess we can call it layers or rounds. So I start with a simple concept, then I expand it to a full paragraph, then I'll go to a full page synopsis, and then typically I'll do a treatment of at least the planned portion, which is basically a prose version with maybe a little dialogue of what's going to happen over the planned issues. Then I go to an actual page by page outline of what the script is going to look like. Then I go to script, then it goes to the artist. So by the time I've done a comic script, it's almost like it's been written 3 times. So it's had a bunch of revisions. And that's pretty much the streamlined way I go through it. Yeah.
That's fair. Okay. Everybody's process is a little bit different. I've read a couple of books by professional manga and anime and comic writers and how they go about it. It's always different. You have to find what works best for you. And that's definitely sounds like a more detailed, well thought out way of going about it. So I'm on this image for a reason. One thing I noticed when I look at your campaign, I've read previous issues of Stake, is you are not afraid to put your characters in realistically embarrassing situations. Some of the imagery and situations we find them in are kind of unflattering. A lot of writers pursue power fantasies when their characters have virtually no flaws, which feels a little alienating to a normal reader. Stakes characters, even your vampires, they don't feel alien. So when you're developing a character, do you have any technique or drills you do to ensure that character is believably relatable in some way?
I think, we put a little bit of ourselves in all of our characters, but typically I don't let them perform actions that people wouldn't do. Even if they're bad characters, they usually don't think they're bad. So what they're doing is justified to themselves. Does that make sense?
It actually does, and it's a fantastic segue to something else I want to talk about. To the
Okay.
next question. So let's start off with one and the other. Stake is a series I've seen revolving around one or a small group of heroes, or maybe a better term is protagonists, against big bads of that particular story. In the world of comic books, not every villain is sitting in a chair cackling maniacally about how evil they are. Nobody really does that. Maybe somebody does, but for the most part, nah. Some are evil in such a way they almost appear to be a logical choice for the main character in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stake accomplishes that with its villains. So, given what you just said and how your villains work, what do you think makes a villain feel real?
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's they need to believe that they're the main character in the story, and they have to be 3-dimensional. It can't just be someone who, oh, I'm going to destroy the world. It's obviously, we know if they're going to do that, they have to have some reasoning behind it, but they're still people. You don't want them to be cartoon characters that are, flat.
Saudi morning cartoon villains?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get you next time, Gadget. We're old enough to remember all that.
Exactly.
That's a fair point. I think you're honest. Some of the best villains do feel like, perhaps a way to word that is, good villains suffer from main character syndrome.
Yeah, and if we should basically, in a different version of our world, we would probably agree with them. And they might not always be wrong. They might just be the antithesis of our hero. So the villain in a story isn't necessarily even a villain if you change the perspective.
That's a good point, because sometimes the villain depends on who you ask. There are times when someone like the Joker makes sense. His argument is valid.
Right.
It's wrong, but it makes sense. I think that happens to a lot of really well thought out villains, and I think you're onto something with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows in Stake, from what I've seen of its villains, they don't seem like they're doing things to be evil. They're doing it because it benefits them. Therefore, it's good.
Yep, I completely agree. And also it's sometimes it's a means to an end type thing. They may have an altruistic vision, but their means of getting there are villainous.
I think sometimes they call that anti-hero, or no, that's the opposite. It's what is the old saying? The path to hell is paved with pure intentions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to save the world, but I got to kill like 10 million people to do it. All right,
Right.
Ozymandias. We'll see how that works.
You can even look at Thanos, right? I need to wipe out half of existence because we're too much of a strain on resources.
His crime was being too full of himself. Other than that, this man was right. I mean, I didn't say that. He had his points. David, that's quick hit with tonight. This show is not super long. It's in the same vein. Not every hero is a paragon of virtue performing these Herculean feats. We do see that a lot, especially in American comic books. Anime does it a good bit too. But Stakes characters, they seem strong, but they don't seem overpowered in such a way that they still feel believably real. What do you think makes a hero feel real?
I mean, it has to be the obvious, which is flaws, making mistakes, failing. that's that's what helps us relate to them. If they can fail, we know we can fail, and they can fail. It makes us feel in line with them. I mean, Angel constantly fails, but she also succeeds at the same time.
So you want to. So ideally, you have a situation where your hero fails occasionally, but they fail too much, everybody's going to hate them. But
Yeah, I
if
mean,
they
where you can
fail,
be, I mean, think about something like The Greatest American Hero, where he's a bumbling hero, but he gets the job done.
that's a fair point. I think that's something I've personally taken a lot of issue with in modern anime. Is the main characters fail too much, too often. They just suck. Uh, I'll be real. That was the problem I had going into Invincible. Was
Mhm.
that Invincible gets his butt kicked almost every time and refuses to think about it. Like, this guy he sucks and he doesn't even realize he sucks. But in defense, they give that story time and it got better. I haven't seen that in Steak. Steak seems like the characters, like you said, they seem very believable. I still have this cover, by the way. I think it's the one I'm going to get the foil out of. Is there anything you want to say about the people who worked on this book, yourself, any of your art team, like that? Anything you want to point out about your campaign? We're looking at it right now. Whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with Francesca and Joel for going on 6 years. We've had the same artist and letterer, and basically, I love working with them. I don't think they're not going anywhere, hopefully, and we have a lot of story left to tell. So get on board. This is the 8th issue. We have at least 25 issues in this to complete out this particular story, and there will constantly be spin-offs. I've been talking to you behind the scenes about one of them that's coming for Jessamy that I think is going to be a lot of fun. So yeah,
that's pretty awesome. That's 25 is ambitious, but from a lot of creators, you're not a new creator, you're a veteran, so I don't worry about you at all. I want to tell stories like 50 chapters long. Like, it's hard to keep a book going for 4 chapters, let alone 50. But
mm-hmm.
you've been in this for a while. You're professional, know what you're doing. I believe you could do that 25 issues. If what I've seen of Steak, it has enough strength to walk that entire path, and I'm looking forward to seeing that path.
Yeah,
is there any particular rewards you want to point out that might be kind of special before this campaign ends? One, maybe Kickstarter exclusives, a one and done.
A lot of the stuff is I keep it consistent from campaign to campaign, but one of my favorites is we actually have a do your own exclusive where you can bring your own art and actually have your own Steak cover. So you can hire an artist or you can draw it yourself. Mark in the chat actually did one for number 7, and it's the graphic that's on the page.
This one right here?
No, if you go up to the $250 exclusive cover right there, go down a little bit. Yeah. Down, right there. So Mark drew that, had it colored, and then he was provided with copies that he can do whatever he wants with.
That gives me kind of a Gargoyles kind of vibe. If you're remember that show back on Disney when they were to do dark and scary things, which is a compliment because Gargoyles is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Easily one of the best shows Disney ever had.
Yep.
So let's see, David, you are currently at 14,000. You are destroying Kickstarter right now. You used to come to me like all in like 4 or 5. What are you talking about? Like you are clearly on the rise. The burner is heating up, my man.
Yep. We right now for the Steak main series, we're ahead of our last campaign by a few thousand and over 20 backers with 16 days to go. And I want to say our original Steak number 1 back in 2020, we were somewhere in the 14 range. So we're approaching that one as well.
That's impressive, especially at a time right now when every creator I talk to is reporting a 30% or more decrease in backership. You are going up. You're going the opposite direction. You're going against the grain, which is fantastic. It's good to see people that create more individual ideas come up and actually defy the norm. But we normally see the same kind of books on Kickstarter always do really well. I mean, you know, which is no disrespect to that, but it's nice to see this is a breath of fresh air, or in this case, a bite of fresh air. One thing I want to point out, Dave, because I messaged you about this before, your vampires do not have fangs. They are unique to you. Was that a decision based on subject choice? Or are you trying to do kind of like how the Warhammer guys spell things differently, like dwarves and demons, so they can own it themselves.
So to me, in this world, they're not supernatural. They're a biological evolution, and part of the lore and myth building that they did over the centuries was to make it look like they had fangs. So when there were mythical monsters in small villages in Eastern Europe, they if they killed somebody, they would use either their nails or something sharp and make it look like they had been drained by fangs to make this a legend, because you would never see anyone out in public with fangs. So it's the same thing like in the story. And this, I mean, it's a little spoiler, but it's been out there for over 5 years. Garlic is an aphrodisiac to vampires, so they spread the rumor that using garlic would ward them off. So instead, it actually attracts them.
That's like going on social media, like, hey guys, I'm terrified of pictures of attractive women with large chests. Please don't send those to me. And then you just get inundated with those
Exactly.
pictures. Same kind of principle. That's clever. So, David, where can people find you at? We want to look up your comics. We want to grab a couple copies. Where do we go?
I am at Dab282 on all social media outlets. But you can go to davidabyrne.com to check out basically about me, some of my other series. And right now, the quickest way to get to the Kickstarter is stakecomic.com. You don't have to type all the Kickstarter info. It just goes straight to the page.
All right. Anything you want to say before we head out tonight, Dave? That's about all we're going to do.
No. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
You don't have to lie to me. It's okay. I appreciate that. So, folks, please check out David's comic. David is a veteran. He's extremely skilled at what he does. When you pick up his comic books, actually, I'll tell you guys a secret. You may have noticed in some of Astral Tickets comics, some of the formatting has changed. The back page, and we now have a proper, professionally done credits page, the legal disclaimer. That's because of this guy. Because I read David's books and I went, that son of a, this is really well. This is professional. I need to step up my game because holy crap, this guy is dancing on me. And that's when we stepped it up. So, David, thank you for that. Anybody who reads our comics, you can thank this man for our standards, professionalism raising because of Mr. Byrne over here.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, but you're still the one doing the work. So, but I'm happy to be an inspiration.
I'm just a facilitator. So, guys, thank you so much for supporting indie comics. It doesn't matter if it's me or David or anybody else. You do that, you're buying somebody dinner. You're helping somebody pay for their kids' clothes. You're not buying a CEO another golden toilet or a yacht. And I realize that the indie market is definitely a mixed bag. There's gems in the sand. You just kind of sift a little bit, and you'll find what fits you. Have a good night, guys, and thank you very much for being here.